Winehouse had a Sun in Virgo, a Capricorn moon, and a Gemini rising. When it comes to a Virgo woman, stereotypically, they can be meticulous, particular, a perfectionist, aware of image. They can care more about competence and not looking sloppy. When it comes to a Capricorn moon woman, she's likely to take initiative into things because Capricorn is a mutable sign and they're business minded. And they need security and control and stability when it comes to anything, when it comes to work, relationships. And they can also be guarded too when it comes to relationships. But they're very loyal once they feel secure. And with a Gemini rising woman, she could be curious, adaptable, witty, and emotionally restless. She could have when it comes to appearance, she could have like a lean, stature. She could be tall. She could have and she could be like, her face is like very animated, like she can always make facial expressions when she talks. And she could also talk with her hands too. I have a couple of questions for Amy. It's not gonna be a deep dive per se. It's just the pressing questions, I guess. The first thing that I want to know is, how does she feel? Why does she feel so connected to Blake? I also want to mention, her husband. First off, they were off and on, and that makes so much sense with the Capricorn, moon. Capricorn moon women are loyal until they can't take no more. They have an elastic heart, very much so. And so once they love you, like once they're in it, And because she kept going back, that can make sense with her Capricorn moon here, because he was familiar. He was familiar to her. And also, she also has a Venus in Leo, but it's retrograde. And Venus in Leo retrograde could signify a person that attracts karmic and complicated relationships. They can also question their worth, and they do normally like admiration. Venus without a Leo retrograde normally likes, to be admired. They're romantic, they like dramatic love, but because hers is retrograde, this could signify, kind of like friction, eternal conflict when it comes to her love life. And it's mostly because, they attract karmic partners or, complicated relationships. And also, once you question your worth, that can kind of sometimes be breeding grounds for some to, get into karmic relationships. But I want to know why Amy was so connected to, his name is Blake, Amy Winehouse. Why, God, Spirit, why was Amy so connected to, what was the real reason why Amy was so connected to Blake, her ex-husband? What was the reason that Amy was so connected to her ex-husband, Blake? I think his name is Blake Civic or something like that. I meant what I said. No, in the reverse. Can y'all see? Now is not the time. I am obsessed with your body. I am addicted to you. Yeah. This was a karmic connection, y'all. This was a karmic connection. Were they soulmates? Yes. They knew each other from a past life. But see, a lot of people don't know this. But when it comes to a soulmate, you're not always meant to be with your soulmate. Sometimes people do get with their soulmates, but it's meant to teach them a lesson. And for her, I think that her relationship with Blake was karmic, and it was supposed to serve as a lesson for her. I do think that there is some insecurity issues here, like I mentioned with her Mars and Leo placement. There's like uncertainty about her worth with this I am obsessed with my body. I heard that Amy was bulimic at one point, and she could suffer from like body image issues, because I'm hungry and I didn't eat, but before I literally just got off of a call and got off of a Zoom meeting, and I wasn't hungry. I wasn't that hungry, and so now I can really feel my hunger. And I think that this can go inside with, I think she really was bulimic, and I think Amy was addicted to the push and pull of their dynamic with this I'm addicted to you card. Amy was very much so addicted to the ups and downs, the roller coaster of the connection. And it could have something to do with her upbringing, you know. Maybe she was used to dysfunction. And so this was familiar to her. Very much so stick it out. I don't know if her mom was married, but it's very much so giving, I saw women stick it out with their husbands. And so I'm gonna stick it out. The relationship didn't get called off, y'all, until he called it off. And even then, if she did call it off, she went right back. All she saw was sticking it out, you know, sticking it out, especially if you loved the person, especially if you loved them. And so why was she so good? Why did she feel so connected to Blake? Because he was toxic and she was used to it. You know, it was addictive to her. And also, I do think that there was a soulmate connection here. And a soulmate connection feeling is so irresistible. Oh my God, even though you know the person is bad, no good for you, you still want that person. Y'all ever been there? I don't like that Blake. Because I don't like that Blake. And I love Amy Winehouse. I'm gonna just say this. I love Amy Winehouse. I'm a big fan. That's why I wanted to do this reading. But let me tell you something. I see right through that motherfucker. Now this is where you get my opinion, and this is where you get me, okay? This is where you get the Aries woman. Let me tell you something. Blake turned her out on drugs. And then as soon as Amy messed up her image, he divorced her. That wasn't a coincidence. And he said it was for infidelity. First off, if I'm not mistaken, you're the one that cheated on her. And then she started seeing other people after you broke up with her. And so it was a classic case of Blake was the homosexual, and he was also a lowlife. I honestly feel like he was intimidated by this woman. And so he's like, okay, let me string her out on drugs to kind of dumb her down to my level. And so that way she'll be easier to control. And I feel like that's exactly what happened. And Amy was a fool for love. And he used her for her money and her resources and her publicity. And then all of a sudden, when the ship sank, and all of a sudden you want to fucking divorce because of infidelity, because it's something that you did. And now he's still capitalizing off of her name to this day. And they're still covering press about him. I'm like, why are y'all still talking to this man? Why are y'all still doing articles on this man? And it's like, I'm gonna ask if, was a life insurance policy taken out on Amy? I don't think she was signed though to a label. I don't think so. But I do think that she had a publishing contract. But do publishers take out a life insurance policy on you as well? I know record labels do it, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll ask about her death and see if there was some foul play. But I honestly feel like this was just a classic case of Blake was a dog, and when you lay down with dogs, you wind up with fleas, and Amy winded up with fleas, and it sucks because I wish she was still alive. And I think that's what that song. I love that song. He Can Only Hold Her. I think that's what that song is about. Amy knew that he was intimidated by her and that he was trying to control her. But why didn't her father want her to go to rehab? That's what I want to know, child. Why didn't Amy Winehouse's father? Ooh, that flew right out, didn't he? 4 Pentacles. Page of Cups. Why didn't Amy Winehouse's father want her to go to rehab? The Moon. Y'all, honest words. Because her controversy was making them a lot of money. Yeah, her controversy was making her a lot of money. Making them a lot of money. And also, he was stealing from her. He was stealing money from her. And I honestly feel like he may have helped get her the drugs. You see, there's the Ace of Cups here, and then, there's a Page of Cups here. With this caffeine here, I feel like he was helping give her the drugs. Like, he was encouraging drug use because as much as she was out of it, she wasn't paying attention to her finances. She wasn't paying attention to her finances, or she was really generous with her money. He was taking advantage. He was stealing from this girl. He was stealing from her. Child. That's why he didn't want her to go to rehab. Because if she got cleaned, if she got her life together, Amy is very smart. Very intimidating woman. And she was surrounded by men who, these aren't men, these are little boys. She was surrounded by little boys who felt very intimidated by her. Intelligent, very smart, very much so will stop you in your tracks. And that makes so much sense because she has a Mars and Leo. A Mars and Leo woman is expressive, she's passionate, she's bold, you know, and she don't take no shit. Like, she'll stop you in your tracks. That makes so much sense as to why they might be intimidated by this woman. And I think that back then that was kind of taboo, you know, taboo, but it was a kind of a rarity. Like, you were looked at as different if you were bold and if you were like bold and, you know, very expressive and larger than life. I've watched some of her interviews and like she's very witty and very sarcastic. You know, she has like kind of that sarcastic sense of humor. And I think that that personality back then, especially compared to men, was a little not off-putting when it came to women. It was different, you know. She was kind of ahead of her time in a way when it came to her personality. And I think it was also because of a cultural difference. And I'm gonna ask, I think that's actually my next question. I'm gonna ask, why did the US press, like, why were they picking on her so much? And I think I feel like it has something to do with her background. We'll see. But it was a cultural shock when she dominated UK charts and US charts, and then had to nerve to be different in how she expressed herself. And I don't know, it was odd. It was odd. But hi, Amy. Shit, what was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. Yeah, he was stealing from her. And if she got clean, if she got her life together, if she got her shit together, she was gonna stop everybody in their tracks. They took advantage. What was her experience like in rehab? Because she would go back and forth, and it seemed like she wasn't even getting any help. So I want to know, like, when she would go into rehab, like, what was her experience like? What was she experiencing there? What was she experiencing in there? A helping hand. Law and order. A mother's touch. They were very strict. They were helping her, and they were very strict. They gave like a, not juvenile, it was more so like a kind of militant, you know, very much so taught discipline, very much so like, I feel like this was like an energy of, I have to do things that I don't want to do. I have to do things that I don't want to do, like exercise, eat right. You know, when I was at school, and if they would drug test you, and if you came back with a dirty test, then they would like put you through a program first of like, you had to like exercise like a lot, like to get the THC out of your system. And I feel like it's something like that. It's like, I think she may have had to like exercise and eat right, you know, to get things to accelerate the process of getting substances out of the system. And she didn't like that. She was like, I heard her say, this blows like they was like, bitch, get on that treadmill. And she was like, hell no, this blows. Oh my gosh, that's funny. I'm sorry. And the spark with Uncle Fester. I feel like she felt like she was at school again. They would like host parties, like corny parties and shit, and like hold ceremonies and give medals and awards and shit. She felt like she was at school. She was like, I don't like this. I honestly don't like it here. But let me tell you something. She was willing to get help. She felt like the atmosphere is very corny. But she wanted to get help, y'all. And she was willing to go back as long as it meant, you know, she would get help. She was willing to endure it. As much as she didn't like the environment, she was willing to endure it. So why was she relapsing? Yeah, it's that man, y'all. It was that man. He kept walking away from her. Yeah, he got her addicted. Like, their dynamic was so addicting. And then every time he'd walk away from her, she'd crash. That's what her song Tears Dry on Their Own was about. I love that song. My top 3 favorite Amy Winehouse songs is Tears Dry on Their Own. I like her version of Valerie, and I like He Can Only Hold Her. Yeah, it is that man. He would crash. I mean, she would crash when that man left, y'all. It's like he would love bomb her. And I don't think she understood I don't think she understood that she went through love bombing. Even now, I don't think she understood. I think, well, now she understands that she went through love bombing. But back then, I don't think there was a name on it. When was the coin? When was the? I think the phrase was existed back then, but she didn't understand she was being love bombed. You know. I'm so sorry, Amy. I'm so sorry. Why was the press? Why would the press pick on her so much? Why would the U.S. press pick on Amy so much back then? Why would the U.S. press pick on Amy so much back then? I imagine you naked. What the fuck? You were right. Seek professional advice. No. What do you want? Okay, there's a few things I'm seeing here. Well, they viewed it as, it's our job. But they were so nasty to her. They were so nasty to her. And I honestly feel like it has something to do with her background. She was dominating US and UK charts. And she's not from the US. She's not from here. So I feel like that was just an extra target on her back for some reason. I don't know. I don't know. But it's like, they didn't like, with this what do you want? They didn't like the fact that she was in the US. I don't know. When it comes to entertainment, they might feel like the British were taking over. I don't know. This is weird. It's like, first off, they feel like, okay, we have to report on Amy. She's popping and it's our job, right? But the extra smart remarks and the insults wasn't necessary. And I honestly feel like they were showing the fact that they don't like British people. They didn't like the fact that I know I'm sounding repetitive, but they didn't like the fact that she was dominating US and UK charts. They didn't like that. And I think they think that they feel like her success was too fast. It was excessive. Like, I think she won 5 Grammys in one night. They're like, what for? Like, it's like, what's going on here? Like, it's too excessive. Like, for what? How did this happen? How is this possible? She was tied with Beyonce and I think Adele to win 5 Grammys in a row in one night. And they're like, how? I don't know. It's just it feels like they didn't like that. They didn't like her, and it was personal too. It was personal. Child, that's weird. And I feel like it's kind of deeper. It's, what the fuck? It's kind of deeper than Amy and everybody else involved, all the entertainers. It's like, I think there's a competition with media between the US and the UK. I think there's like a secret competition even now with UK music and UK media and entertainment. I think there's like some sort of competition going on. And so I think blogs were getting paid or encouraged to shit on Amy. I'm gonna look that up. That's interesting. I never really paid attention. I mean, I just thought everybody's in 2 different countries and they just go their separate ways. That's interesting. I need to look that up to see if that's true. Now the burning question. Was her death actually an accident? Was her death actually an accident? Four of Wands. Justice. King of Cups. Seven of Pentacles. Just as I thought, y'all. I think. Hold on. Let me pull clarify cards. Can you clarify the Four of Wands, please? Six of Pentacles. Can you clarify the Justice? Five of Cups. Let me tell you something. Okay. Brace yourself. And I could be wrong, right? I could be wrong. I'm gonna watch other people's tarot readings to see what they have to say. But this is what I see. I think that she committed suicide, just as I thought. However, she was kind of pushed there. This feels like an isolating situation. This feels like an isolating situation. It's like it's almost as if kind of almost everybody was in on it. Everybody close to her was in on it. It's like, don't be there for Amy. Don't be there for Amy. Don't help Amy. Let her self-destruct to get some money. Yeah, they wanted some money. Child. They said just let her self-destruct. And I feel like there's no secrets when it comes to Amy. I think Amy was very open. She was an open book. And I think she was very vocal about her mental health and how she was feeling. And she may have been very vocal about having suicidal ideation. And I think people took that and ran with it, y'all. And they're like, oh yeah, she's really gonna do it if she feels like it. Child, I don't want to read this anymore. Tony Bennett said that Amy knew she was going to pass away young. Is that true? I feel like it is true. Yeah, I feel like it is true. And I also feel like it has something to do with her signing something. I think she signed something. My God. And I think everyone who's, okay, I think I'm gonna watch a deep dive, because I think that everyone a part of the 27 Club, there's a pattern here. Everybody is connected to each other in some way. I don't know if it has something to do with an agency, a company, a label, but I feel like they all signed something. They all signed something, made some sort of deal with somebody, and that's what makes you part of the 27 Club. There's a pattern here. I do think that she knew she was going to die young because she signed something. She signed something. And honestly, y'all, her spirit, I don't want to say her spirit is at rest. It's like, how should I put this? It's like, it feels like yeah, I knew I was going to die, but I didn't know that I was going to be at the peak of my, it's like she wasn't thinking about a peak of success. She wasn't thinking about her peak, you know? She didn't know that the peak of her success would be when she was going to die. You get what I'm saying? She's not afraid of death. She was never afraid of death. That's why she came to terms with it. She didn't mind, actually. It's just the fact that she wished she could have relished in her success longer. Just like how everybody else says, you know, just like I just said, you know, I wish she was still alive. It's like she does too. She wished that she could have lived to experience all of her success, if that makes sense. I want to ask, how does she feel about her biopic? How does Amy Winehouse feel about her biopic? Back to Black. We have 15. I'm not gonna read that. I didn't watch it, y'all. Is this in the biopic? Is this in the biopic? I didn't watch it. And I have to buy it, and I don't think I want to buy it because I heard it was bad, so I don't think I want to buy it. And I was gonna watch it before I did this video, but you gotta buy it, and I was like, I'll just pirate it. They are waiting for you. Definitely. I left because you told me to. I think this spread will make sense if I actually watch the movie. That's what I'm getting. Because I didn't watch it. I will say though, she's glad that her you know, that she lives on. There's 3 15s here. What is the significance of this? There's 3 15s. 6 6 6. Y'all, what the fuck? And then 8 plus 4 equals 12. 6 6. I know you're lying. I know you're lying. I know you're lying. And then 3 4s. I know you're lying. What the fuck is going on? No. No. This is an energy interference. Hell no. I rebuke that in the name of Jesus. Hell no. Y'all, some energy just hijacked the reading, and I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate it. I don't appreciate it. First off, though, I will say, that took a turn. That took a motherfucking turn. Only spirits of the Most High, please, can assist me in this damn reading. Like, you need like, everybody else need to chill and go back to where the hell you came from, please, because I ain't got time. I ain't got time nor the patience. So I'm gonna ask motherfucking again. Like I said, how does Amy Winehouse truly feel about her biopic? Yes, y'all. Yes, y'all. You got to talk to him just like that. You got to talk to him just like that, because you got to set the record straight with these hoes. I can feel y'all. I can feel y'all judging me. Not judging me, but y'all are like, is she really talking to them? Like, is she really talking to spirits like that? Yes, girl. Yes, I am. Yes. That's funny. That's never happened to me before. This is the first time for everything. I can feel y'all judging me. I'm ready. See, that's more motherfucking like it. See, anyway, I'm like, there's an energy interference. And there's an energy interference. And I don't appreciate it. I just dream and wish for everything. Like I said before something hijacked the reading, she's glad that, you know, people still remember her. She's glad people still remember her. She's glad she's still relevant. Definitely. She also feels like there's something in the movie that's not accurate. She said she's saying, if you're gonna tell the story, tell all of it and tell it accurately. Don't I just heard her say, don't add that theatrical shit in there. Don't add none of that theatrical shit in there. Them dramatic elements. She said she said don't be adding no dramatic elements. Yeah. Again, like I said before, though, I feel like this spread will make a lot more sense if I watch the movie. But as of now, you know, when it comes to how she views her biopic, when it comes to the biopic in general, the concept of it, the idea of her being considered for a biopic, it makes her happy. She's glad, but there's something about what's inside the movie that she doesn't like. And it could have been how she died, how they portrayed her death. May have been something that she didn't like. And also, is there like some sort of like inappropriate scenes in the movie? I'll check. But yeah, that's how she feels, y'all. And I hope y'all enjoyed this reading. Oh, we gotta ask about the 27 Club. I'm ready to go inside, honey. Okay, let's ask. How does she feel about being a member of the 27 Club? I don't want to sound disrespectful. I don't want to be disrespectful. I didn't want to ask because yeah, she don't like it. I mean, but the fact still remains that, you know, she found her peace in a sense. She don't like being labeled as, it's like she doesn't like her death being viewed as, she doesn't like people psychoanalyzing her death. That's her main issue. She doesn't like people psychoanalyzing her death. That's her main issue. Because it was something that she signed up for, and it could also be a touchy topic for her spirit as well. And so for that reason, she's like, I can't even get peace from scrutiny in death. I can't even transition without people psychoanalyzing everything that I do, even in death. That's what she feels like. I feel like her spirit feels that that pressure, that tension around her death, centered around her death. She doesn't like it. I don't feel like her soul could genuinely kind of rest in her decision, because she feels, you know, that pressure. Y'all, the human mind is so powerful, and everything is a frequency. Our movements, our energy, our voices, our thoughts even. And when you're thinking about a deceased person, when you're talking about a deceased person, they could feel that shit. They could feel that shit because they are indeed also a frequency. They are indeed also, you know, something that could latch on to a person, similar to how a thought can be transferred from one person to another, etc., etc. You get what I'm saying? So it's like spirits could feel that shit. They could feel when you're, they could feel how you feel about them. They can. And her spirit feels, it can't fully rest, and it still kind of feels burdened in a way because people are kind of psychoanalyzing her death is basically what I'm trying to say. Interesting. Very interesting. Y'all, I feel like I sound crazy. I'm gonna leave this here, okay? And I'll see you guys next time. Okay, bye.